What up, this is Rama Screen covering movies, TV, and entertainment, and here's my review of Netflix's new movie, Enola Holmes. Hey, before you watch my review, please subscribe to my channel, press that like button, and ring that bell so you can get notified whenever I post new videos. And if you would like to help support this channel, please do so at patreon.com/ramascreen. That's patreon.com/ramascreen. Let's rock this. First up, I would like to say thank you to Netflix for granting me the screener to this new film. Enola Holmes is more of a feminist agenda movie rather than an investigative adventure. If you've come for the deductive reasoning and the clue gathering and the problem solving, you'll find them here. But the film is generally more concerned about answering the hypothetical question of, what if Sherlock Holmes had worn a skirt? Enola Holmes will throw you a bone whenever our protagonist puts two and two together, and Millie Bobby Brown does put on a charismatic performance. But the middle parts kinda drag, and the mystery is pretty weak. And while I welcome any girl power stories, this film kinda shoves that down our throats a little. Based on Nancy Springer's book series, written by Jack Thorne and directed by Harry Brad Beer, Enola Holmes is set in England 1884, a world on the brink of change, and on her 16th birthday, Millie Bobby Brown's character Enola Holmes wakes to find that her mother, played by Helena Bonham Carter, has mysteriously disappeared, leaving behind an odd assortment of gifts but no apparent clue as to where she's gone or why. After a free-spirited childhood, Enola suddenly finds herself under the care of her brothers Sherlock, played by Henry Cavill, and Mycroft, played by Sam Claflin, both set on sending her way to a finishing school for proper young ladies. Refusing to follow their wishes, Enola decides to search for her mother in London. But when her journey finds her entangled in a mystery surrounding a young runaway lord, Enola becomes super curious in her own right as she unravels a conspiracy that threatens to set back the course of history. The Stranger Things phenomenon Millie Bobby Brown does a fabulous job with this role, in my opinion. She breaks the fourth wall just as fun as Deadpool does, and she fights and jumps and slithers her way from one place to the next like an escape artist. And mad props to Henry Cavill and Sam Claflin, both of whom are, as you know, two very established leading men in cinema. For them to be willing to play second fiddle to Millie Bobby Brown is quite something. But it's also understandable because this is entirely a Millie show, if you will. Sam Claflin plays the tightly wound, stick up his butt Mycroft, and even though Mycroft is not the villain here, the way that Sam Claflin plays him will remind you of why conservatives are the most unlikable people on earth. On the opposite end of that spectrum is Henry Cavill's soft-spoken yet firm approach to the greatest fictional detective of all time. Both Sam and Henry are barely in the movie, but they pull their weight in supporting the overarching arc of Enola Holmes coming into her own. And now that former Superman and current Witcher has become the latest new Sherlock Holmes, people will be like, Benedict Cumber who? Robert Downey what? All joking aside, Enola Holmes' production design is actually quite impressive. From an uncared for, dusty old messy mansion in the middle of nowhere to the bustling, crowded Victorian-era London, in addition to the costume design that puts attention to detail, this film's effort in reaching authenticity does not go unnoticed. Story-wise, as I mentioned earlier, it does kind of drag halfway through. Without giving too much away, part of that reason is because Enola Holmes' mystery suddenly diverges into two separate priorities, which is a shame because it makes it seem as though one is not nearly as important as the other, and there's nothing too substantive about the twist either, considering the whole feminist agenda looms over and stares you in the face the entire time. I think Nancy Drew has solved a much more complicated crime than this. So, as a detective story, Enola Holmes kinda falls short, and the whole girl power stuff is a bit heavy-handed. The movie, however, is interesting enough to make you want to entertain the idea of, hey, maybe they'll do better next time in the sequel, if there would ever be one.